Good evening. So happy to see you. I'm Leah Ruckberg, your host, and I'm happy to welcome you to Holidays, Best, Worst, and Most Memorable. All holidays are based around stories, and of course we tell those big archetypal stories over and over again. But equally important are those little stories that we tell around the dining room table, and sometimes just the stories that we share around circles of intimate friends. But all of these stories are a part of what makes us human. So tonight we're going to share our own specific memories around the holidays, and I think you're going to find something here that you can relate to as well. Marianne Lana is a writer who composes creative nonfiction and memoir. When she's not writing, Marianne pays close attention to the antics of her family for possible inclusion in family stories. And all her family is here. She's the mother of 3 charming children and wife to a very hardworking and patient man. And apart from writing, Marianne teaches reading full-time and likes to unwind by painting, taking pictures, and providing human voices for her endlessly entertaining dogs and cats. And tonight, she will share with us the 3 Christmases that ruined my life.
Thank you. This is dedicated to my mom. Hi, Mom. The 3 Christmases that ruined my life. Number 1. When I was 5 years old, my kindergarten classmate, Leanne, brought her Baby Alive doll to show and tell. We gathered round while Leanne mixed up a batch of berry-scented pink goo in a pink bowl with a pink spoon, and we oohed while she fed the goo into the doll's gaping mouth, and we watched captivated as the doll chewed and swallowed the pink goo down its gullet. And then, in wide-eyed amazement, we sat riveted while Leanne changed its very diaper, which was filled with the same berry-scented pink goo it had just consumed. The boys pinched their noses and fell to the rug, nauseated. They held their bellies and moaned, "Ew!" But as for me, my discomfort was from the unmistakable pang of jealousy. I was up next after Leanne and had brought my Digger the dog toy to show off. As Leanne climbed down off the show-and-tell chair with the infant in her arms, I realized something. I should have gone first. For no one cared that my spotted plastic Sherlock hound wore a yellow detective's hat, or that he walked by himself, nose to the ground, after I pulled his string. And worse, the class collectively yawned when Digger failed to walk the 5 measly feet that the TV commercial had boasted he would. No, the kids in my class weren't impressed by Digger. They just wanted to see more of that doll that ate and pooped pink goo. I got home that afternoon and begged my mother to buy me a Baby Alive doll. But she dismissed my plea and called the doll disgusting. Drinking wet is bad enough, she said, but that thing eats and craps its pants? Forget it. She emptied a hamper full of dirty clothes into a brown wicker laundry basket. I insisted that the pooping was the best part. "It's just like a real baby," I said. I heard my mother sigh as she dropped the basket of dirty clothes near the cellar door. "We've got 2 dogs, a cat, a rabbit, and we just got rid of the raccoon," she said. No more poop. She heaved a basket of folded towels up onto one hip, muttering something about being done wiping butts after raising 5 kids, and she walked away in the direction of the linen closet. The weeks and months passed by, and snowflakes began to collect on our front stoop in whimsical mounds. We yanked tinsel out of our cat's mouth when she retched and frothed. And we cleaned up the broken ornaments the dogs knocked off the Fraser fur in the living room. Each of the cords on the plastic holiday candlesticks were freshly wrapped with black electrical tape, where Peppy the rabbit had chewed through to the wire. Oh, yes, indeed, Christmas was drawing nigh, and this meant a wish list for Santa Claus, written by and for me. Dear Santa, I have been a very good girl this year, so please bring me 1, an art set, 2, gaucho boots, and 3, baby alive. Mommy, I yelled from the kitchen table to the basement where my mother was again doing laundry. How do you spell alive? Immediately she hollered back, "You're not getting that goddamn doll." I can ask Santa for whatever I want, I said. Santa won't bring you what I don't want you to have, she said. In spite of my mother's warning, I left that list of wishes right next to the plate of cookies on Christmas Eve, and believed that even if I couldn't spell alive, Santa knew what I meant. I couldn't wait to come down on Christmas morning to find my very own eating and pooping doll. Before sunrise, I tiptoed down to the living room. I avoided the creaky spots on the steps so that my family would not be disturbed while they slept. It was still dark outside, but the orange glow from the electric candlesticks illuminated the room. There was just enough light to see the Christmas tree and the mountain of presents wrapped underneath it, and something else, that my mother was right. Santa had not brought me that goddamn doll. Number 2 of the 3 Christmases that ruined my life. Dedicated again to my mother.
Thank you.
2 years had passed since the baby alive incident of 1975. I was a second grader and had gotten over the fact that I would never get a doll that ate and pooped. My new interest stemmed from my discovery of what I called the blonde Cocker Spaniel. This curiosity started at the pet store in the mall, where I caught a glimpse of one of those butterscotch, sad-eyed puppies. But the price tag led me to know this would not be an easy endeavor. Aside from it being a living, breathing, and pooping animal. So rather than beg this time, I set out to prove that I was deserving of the pet. Our animal count had dropped in 2 years, for we no longer had the rabbit, and we were down to 1 dog. I figured this helped my case. I brought home armloads of dog breed books from the library, and I studied Cocker Spaniels incessantly. I ordered Cocker Spaniel posters from the school book club to cover my bedroom walls. I clipped Purina puppy chow coupons from the Sunday newspaper. I dropped Cocker Spaniel facts into casual conversation. Cocker Spaniels are one of the smartest dog breeds there are, I said. Mm-hmm, my mother said. She ironed one of my dad's handkerchiefs. They were originally bred as hunting dogs and today make great family pets, I said. Interesting, she said, as she folded the handkerchief and reached for another. Cocker Spaniels are highly adaptable dogs and are easy to train, I said. That's nice, she said, as she piled the warm stack of iron handkerchiefs on the top of the basket of folded whites. I knew as long as I didn't hear, "You're not getting that goddamn dog," the answer wasn't no, and I could press on. But I also knew Mom would never buy me a $550 puppy from the mall. And even if I were to try to save my $5 weekly allowance, that'd take 110 weeks. I didn't have that kind of time. Enter Christmas Eve. Dear Santa, I have been a very good girl this year. I cleaned my room and didn't talk back to my mother that much. All I want for Christmas is a blonde Cocker Spaniel puppy. I made a dog bed out of a box with a blanket inside, and I left a container full of water. There is a leash hooked up to a chair so you can tie him up. I do not care if it is a boy or a girl. Please, 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 Santa, I really want this puppy. Love, Marianne. I left the letter next to a plate of cookies, the peanut butter ones with the Hershey's Kisses pressed into the middles. And I went cheerfully to bed that night, knowing this time I'd done it right. Before sunrise, I tiptoed down to the living room, and I avoided the creaky spots on the stairs so my family would not be disturbed while they slept. It was dark outside, but the orange glow from the electric candlesticks illuminated the room. There was just enough light to see the tree with a mountain of wrapped presents under it. And something else. The empty Genesee beer box, with the blanket inside right where I'd left it, next to a Cool Whip container full of water, and the leash in a sad heap on the floor with no blonde Cocker Spaniel attached to the hook. What the hell, Santa? Number 3 of the 3 Christmases that ruined my life. 8 was a special age because it was when I became big enough to reach the buttons and the dials on the washing machine. And therefore, I was taught how to do my very own laundry. I was also tall enough to stand over the ironing board, so Mom showed me how to iron my dad's handkerchiefs. I scorched a few in the process, but Mom praised my efforts and said I had a real gift. Mhm. She said I was better at ironing than she was. And I told her that in that case, I should be in charge of all the handkerchief ironing from now on. She agreed. And sat down to supervise from the kitchen table while she worked a crossword puzzle. I spread a white cotton square out before me and set the pointy end of the iron close to the corner. Then I glided the iron back and forth from one side to the other, while puffs of steam rose up like billowy clouds. The wrinkles disappeared like magic, and I knew Mom was right about me having a gift. I don't know why you think ironing's so hard, I said. I just never got the hang of it, I guess, she said. Well, I think it's easy. I'm already starting on my second handkerchief, I said. Look. I held up the neatly folded white square. That's just amazing, she said. She smiled and sipped her coffee and went back to her puzzle. I splayed out another handkerchief and reached for the iron. Mom, I said by the by. Did you know all my friends have 10-speed bikes now? I hadn't noticed, she said. It's weird. I'm the only one left with a banana seat bike. All the kids say I have a baby bike because they all have 10 speeds. Huh, she said. Yep, Maureen, both of the Brooks, Ricky, Tommy, they all have 10 speeds. Interesting, she said. I know, I said. Maybe I'll ask Santa for one. I think that's a great idea, she said. But how would he get it down the chimney, I said. It's so big. Oh, he'd figure out a way, she said. I finished the pile of handkerchiefs and insisted I put them away myself in Dad's drawer, because Mom told me that when she'd done it, she made a mess of the whole operation. After the handkerchiefs were put away, I sat down to write my annual letter to Santa. Dear Santa, this year I learned how to do my own laundry and iron my dad's handkerchiefs. I didn't talk back to my mom that much, and I cleaned my room. I want a girl's blue 10-speed Schwinn bike for Christmas. And hopefully you can figure out how to get it down the chimney. Otherwise, just leave it in the garage. Love always, Mary Ann. Now that year, Mom moved Christmas from the living room to the family room. And the family room was a new addition built on the back of the house. And even though the floor was still plywood and the fireplace was bare cinder block, we were having Christmas in there. So Christmas Eve night, I left Santa's letter on the desk by the tree in the family room, with a plate of various cookies, a tall glass of milk, and a carrot for the reindeer. 3 of my older siblings had come home for Christmas that year. So Christmas Eve was a raucous affair, with my mom at the piano leading Christmas carols for much of the evening. There was plenty of laughter and tons of food and drink, and at 9 o'clock I was told it was time to go to bed. And though I hated to miss the party, I knew I had to get to sleep for Santa to come. Hour after hour passed. My family talked over one another out in the other room and laughed so loud that at one point the cat jumped off my bed and hid underneath it. A Christmas album spun on the hi-fi, and they all joined in and sang, "We Need a Little Christmas," at a deafening volume. The record skipped here and there, and they all roared when it did so. I worried about how Santa would deliver my girl's blue 10-speed Schwinn bike when all these people were not settled in for their long winter's naps. It was nearly midnight. At last, the din from the party quieted. I crossed my fingers and prayed that we were not too late for Santa to come. I closed my eyes tight and tried to force myself to sleep. But then I heard the kitchen door open. Who would be going out now on Christmas Eve? A series of thuds and loud whispers reached my ears, and I couldn't bear the suspense any longer. I slid down out of my bed and crept to the door. I opened it just a bit and listened. I wasn't sure if it was my family I was hearing or Santa himself. I had to investigate further. I slipped unseen into the hallway, and from there I ducked into the adjacent bathroom and eased the door closed behind me. The double pane in the bathroom formerly overlooked the backyard, but since the addition was built, it overlooked the new family room. The bottom pane of glass was opaque for privacy, but the top one was clear. So I climbed up and stood on the lid of the closed toilet seat and then peered out into the other room, and the cookies lay where I left them, uneaten, on the plate. The glass of milk was there too, and the carrot. But wait. Oh my God, there it was, my bike. My sister and my dad were carefully lifting a girl's blue 10-speed Schwinn bike through the family room. They set it down right there, smack dab in front of the Christmas tree. He did it! Santa did it! He must have known that they were all still awake, so he left it outside for them to bring in. Of course! What a genius plan! I jumped down off that toilet and bolted into the kitchen. "It's here! It's here! My bike! It's here!" I hollered. My 2 brothers and my mom just looked at me, then at one another. I figured I was about to get in trouble for being awake, but I didn't care. I had to explain that I just witnessed a Christmas miracle. So I continued. I was standing in the bathroom on the toilet, looking into the family room, and I saw Kathy and Dad bringing it in, I said. I clapped my hands and I jumped up and down. "Oops," I heard my brother David say. Oops. Why oops? It was the exact bike I'd asked for. This was no mistake. Kathy and Dad entered the kitchen and were surprised to see me standing there. Mom shook her head at them. Well, I guess Mary Ann no longer believes in Santa Claus, she said. I just stood there confused. I didn't? She just watched you two carrying the bike. Thank you very much, she said. That takes care of that. Takes care of what? I thought. Nice going, my brother Billy said. Oh, shit, Kathy said. Well, it's about goddamn time, Dad said. So wait. Santa didn't leave the bike outside? Oh. Oh. Oh.
Oh,